Thank you for joining me for this series some more. I just wanted to talk a little bit about lucid dreaming and astral travel before I get into this next encounter. And when I was in my late teens, I started being able to lucid dream. It's not something I taught myself to do. It's just something I really got a hang of doing. I had lucid dreams several times in my earlier childhood, on and off, but when I got in my teens, it happened more frequently. Instead of like maybe 20% of the time, I was doing it like half of the time. And when I would lucid dream, basically I would just realize I'm dreaming and wake up in my dream, be able to do whatever I want. So if I'm in my house, it'd be like the windows are off, or the configuration is wrong, or there's extra rooms, or people are there that shouldn't be there, or, my hands look off, maybe they're blurry, or maybe like there's an extra digit, or I can't look in the mirror, like it's all foggy, the plants look slightly off, or trees are not in the right place, or people are there who shouldn't be there. And sometimes when I'm lucid, I, just gain different abilities, like I can fly or travel around or do acrobatics and like all that fun stuff. And sometimes I would just let dreams play out knowing that they're a dream, because I've had a lot of loved people pass away, and sometimes I have a dream where they're alive and I know it's a dream because I know they shouldn't be alive. And it's a totally different situation that's not true to current life, and I know that. So I see them and I'm like, oh man, I'm dreaming. But I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna enjoy it while it lasts in the dream, And usually I rest well with lucid dreaming and then wake up and, start my day or whatever. Well, I got told by several like readers and psychics that I do a lot of astral travel in my sleep as well. And I noticed that sometimes I would go places and there would be these like men chasing after me in these places that were, I don't even know how to describe them other than like other dimensional places. Kind of like some of them were like other timelines on Earth. One of the places I went to was like this kind of like a different version of Earth, like a different timeline of Earth is the best way I could describe it. One was this version of Earth where we didn't win the American Revolution War. There was another one where there was a nuclear disaster, all just different weird timelines I was in. And I would notice that people were following me, and it was super weird because they were always like men in black in this like dream, what I thought I was dreaming, and they would be chasing me everywhere I went, and I'd be like running around like I knew these places, and that was always confusing to me. And when I was in these timelines, it was like other people knew me, but I didn't know them, but they knew whoever's body I was in. That's what it felt like. When I was in those places, it felt like I was jumping into another body or another version of myself in that timeline. And it's like that version of me had friends, and they would, talk to me and help me out, and from different businesses or different, just people I knew. But then me, like in this body, was like, I don't know who you are. I don't know where I am. But these people would talk to me like they knew me really well. And then these usually two guys, all in black, like black suits, black eyeglasses, black hats, and they would chase me until I woke up. Essentially, I was just running for them until I woke up. And sometimes they'd get really close to me, like they're about to grab me or something like that, and I would turn around and I would say, what do you want from me? Like, why are you chasing me? Especially since this is, a dream at best, right? Maybe I'm lucid dreaming, I was thinking, and maybe, I can manipulate them, right? Like I can make them go away or disappear or stop chasing me, because in like lucid dreams, if I'm in like a nightmare type scenario, I can start controlling it. I can make them stop, I can make them disappear, all that stuff. So I noticed that I wasn't able to make them stop and things like that, and I thought that was strange. And then I clearly knew this wasn't like my earth or my normal place I was in. And so I stopped and I was like, what do you want from me? Like, why are you chasing me? And all they would tell me in a very, very like mean, stern, angry voice is they would say, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. So every time I would ask them that when I would be in one of these scenarios, they would just tell me, you're not supposed to be here. You need to leave. You're not supposed to be here. And in my head, I was like, what do you mean I'm not supposed to be here? Where am I? Like, I don't even know where I am. And that's when I started looking into the potentiality of me astral traveling to different places or like realms almost. And, you know, not actually being dreaming or lucid dreaming, but astral traveling in my dreams, which is very strange to like come to terms to. But just everything about it was like, it was so real, the people were so real, and it was just so strange and bizarre. So then I started warming up to the idea of potentially I'm astral traveling in my dreams sometimes. And then I had other like spiritual people confirm that for me, that are very well respected. And it's just wild, right? Like I feel like, and also when you're doing those types of dreams, you wake up exhausted. You wake up so tired. You could have slept the whole night, not woke up once, and you feel like you didn't sleep at all. You feel like you ran a marathon. Sometimes I'm like physically tired, not just like sleepy or like spiritually tired, but like physically tired, like I was running all night. And you have intense memories of where you were, what people looked like, what people said, and how you felt carrying into the next day. It can be very jarring too. When I'm astral traveling type of things, when I wake up, I feel so disoriented because I'm like, wait, I was just outside, or I was just over here, and why am I in bed? And it's rough to like reorient yourself after that. It's very jolting. It's not like when you're meditating and you astral travel and you leave your body and you come back to your body. Like when I'm doing it in my sleep, it's just like I'm there and then I'm back, and like that. And so it can be a lot. So, and sometimes I've had more premonition type dreams where I dream of things that come true. And so I've had done different experiences. Sometimes I go places and sometimes people come to me in my dreams, and I'll get into that. But that being said, this next experience that has to do with the symbols from the last video, I wrote it down in this dream journal because I was, I guess technically asleep. And this happened the first week of February in 25. So this is like a month after the meditations I did with the Andromedans and the Lyrans. And I meditate on a very like regular basis. Meditation isn't new for me. I've been doing it for a long time, many years. Reiki, tarot, all of that meditation type of stuff. It's only really recently that I've been doing this online thing because my guides told me to. So here I am. And now they want me to share these experiences. So here I am. Even though I am so nervous sharing these because I know how crazy it sounds, but I'm hoping there's other people who've had similar OBE and astral travel experiences that I can connect with. So it didn't feel like a dream. It felt very real. And in this dream, it was just like a normal day here at my house, and the house looked the same, my hands looked normal, my clothes, everything about it is like a 1-for-1. So, sorry about my camera, it just loves to turn right now. Nothing was like out of place or anything of the sort. It was, as expected, like everything was normal. If I'm lucid dreaming, something would feel off, something would feel different, and nothing did. Nothing told me that I was in a dream. Everything was hyper realistic. Everything felt real. My clothes felt real. Everything was real. I was in like my normal clothes, my day clothes. I was in my sweatpants and my flannel, and I had my shoes on. I was gonna walk outside, and it was midday, which is kind of normal for me. And I feel this urge, oh, I should go outside. It's time to go outside. So I go outside. I walk through my front garden, and as soon as that ends, like my gravel entryway begins, and there were 2 crafts there. And one of the crafts was like a dark silver color, and it was, according to my journal, the size of 4 Subaru Outbacks, because that's the car I drive, so that was like my closest unit of measurement. So that's about how big the silver one. It was huge, and it was just hovering a few feet above the ground. There was no noise, but there was like a vibration to it. It's like hovering a few feet off the ground, and you could feel kind of like this energy, like this vibration that's keeping it suspended. And there were these like 3 rows of lights, and in between the rows of lights there was a little bit of a recession in the ship for whatever reason. And I had this feeling that the lights, the strips of lights, they were able to rotate around the ship like this, like if they wanted to, like if they turned that feature on, I guess they could start rotating the lights, each of the rows. And it felt like, well, they could all go, like maybe one row's going right, the other goes left, and they could probably control the lights and all that. But the lights weren't on. Like the lights were turned off, and it was just sitting there hovering, this metallic one. And then next to it was this egg-shaped one that was gold, completely made out of gold. And the symbols that I channeled from the Andromedan meditation were on the ship, like on the ship, not like impressed in the ship, but when you have braille, right, and it's raised up on like paper, it was like metal symbols raised up from the ship, right, all over the ship. Like the entire ship is covered in these symbols. And I just felt this pull to that ship, and I recognized those symbols from the ones that I channeled. And there was a slightly different vibration to this ship, is the best way I can put it, like a different, like how speakers feel. There's like a vibration to it, and it was like a different one. So then I walk over to that ship, and I just intuitively touched one of the symbols on the ship. And when I touched one of the symbols on the ship, it like activated it. So when I touched it, all at the same time, it started glowing that blue-white color that I drew the symbols in. And then it also like repelled my hand in the air a bit, like a frequency came out of it, or a vibration, and then a note did. So it was like all 3 at once, like a light, a sound, and like a vibrational push. And the sound is kind of like a note, like a xylophone or a handpan. It was like a ding, like it's the best way I can describe it here, but like a tonal note. And all those happen at once. So the sound, the light, and like it pushed my hand off. And so I intuited, like after I touched the first one, it was just very intuitive. So I did that. It didn't freak me out. It was like, okay. It felt familiar. Like I had some sort of familiarity with this ship for whatever reason. So I touched it. Then I touched another one and another one. They're each doing like a different tone, like an audible tone, but they're all start glowing this light color, and then they would repel my hand, and then I'd touch the next and do that. And as soon as I did like the 4th one, it felt like I was like activating it or something, but it was all subconscious. It was not like I was trying to. It was just like a feeling of like I know what to do to activate or open it or whatever. I don't know. That part was like pretty pretty unclear to me what, was actually the purpose of my intuitively tapping it, but it did something. So when I hit the fourth one and I felt the vibration, I abruptly just woke out of a sleep, and I was in bed, and I was freaking out in bed because I was like touching myself, and I was like, oh, I'm not in my clothes, I'm not in my flannel, I'm not in my sweatpants. Why am I not outside? Why is it still dark out? Why is it not midday? Why am I in bed? I was just outside. Like, the feeling is so visceral of like, I could feel the sun on my skin. I could feel the vibrations of the ships. They're like clear as day in my mind. And yet I'm in bed, and it really screws with your head, especially when you wake up. And because I was literally like, how did I get in bed? That was my first thought of like, how did I get here? This doesn't make sense. Like, and then you just have to adjust and be like, I guess it was just a dream, and that's what you chalk it up to. But you just feel kind of uneasy the whole day, or at least I do, and I did, because I felt like I was literally outside. How did I wake up in bed at night when it was daylight? It just made no sense to me. But I did a larger drawing of the metallic ship so you could see it more clearly. This is what this looked like, and it was hovering off the ground. These are like these rows of lights, and these hash marks are not like hash marks that are on the ship. This hash mark right here is to indicate like the recess, like it recessed a little bit in these hash mark lines, and the light lines were like flush with this metallic part of the ship, and then the line beneath it recessed a little between these. And then this again, it's like the lines are just kind of like a shadow, like the underside was shadowed and the top side was shadowed a little bit, and this is where like the most reflection of the sun was, just because of the angle of the ship being like this, not quite a triangle, not quite a circle or a disc, like somewhere in between, I guess. So this is the larger ship, and it was a bit darker metallic than the pen I used, but that's just what I have access to that works. And then this is the egg-shaped ship. I did this and I printed it out for my journal. So it's like the golden egg, and then I just have like the dark symbols underneath the light symbol, because the dark is like showing that it's like, I try to show that it's like on top. And you can see that one turned out too dark, so that's why I drew it there for you. And so then I have like what the lights look like lit up. So when I touched it, I was like touching around this area of the ship, this region right here, and it was like responding to me, and I like wonder if it was like responding to my frequency or responding to like whatever like code, like when you unlock your phone. Maybe I was doing that, I don't know. But again, this was hovering over the ship, and it was such an interesting shape. It was such a weird shape. And it was relatively small. This one's like the size of one Subaru. So it's like it felt like this could hold maybe one or two, and this could hold like 4, maybe more. So yeah, that's the other ship that I saw, and then I like freaked out that I was, in bed. It's such a weird experience. I wonder if anyone else has had experiences like that, where you wake up and you just feel so out of place, like you were literally, again, it's like I was literally just outside, and I've had a few of these experiences now at this point, and it's just jarring every time. So anyways, a few days later, after this experience, I had a physical visitation in my bedroom at night with aliens, like physically, not like a astral or out of body or whatever the heck this is, because I don't know what this is, because I really don't know what this is. I don't know how to describe it. I'm calling it an out of body because I woke up in bed, But who knows? Like, I really need to do some regression to figure that stuff out. But when I'm astral traveling and I'm in places where I guess I shouldn't be, I know it. But this felt so real and just like I was here and at home. It was crazy. So I wrote about my encounter here. I was meditating and fell asleep. And then all of a sudden I woke up and I opened my eyes. And in the darkness of the room, I saw two great aliens standing and staring at me, and one by my partner's side as well. So like there was like 3 in total. So 2 by me, 1 by him. Okay, so you can love aliens as much as you want, but until you have a physical experience like this, where you open your eyes and you see them in your bedroom, it's freaking terrifying. Like, absolutely terrifying. My entire body was like paralyzed and like frozen, except for like my eyes, like I could blink, but my whole body felt frozen. My jaw was clenched. I felt the hair stand up all over my body. My heart felt like it was gonna freaking jump out of my chest. The amount of fear that takes over your body is insane when you physically see them right next to you like that. And it also always feels like an invasion of privacy. I'm like, can't we do this during the day? Like these experiences? Why do you have to be by my bed? Why do I have to wake up in the middle of the night and then you're right there next to me in bed? Like, I feel like that's one of the reasons it puts us in fight or flight, because when we're in sleep mode, we're really vulnerable and our human instincts kick in and it's just pure terror. Anything you see that is not normal is going to be pure terror. And I feel like they scrubbed that from my childhood experience so I wouldn't have more trauma. They're like, yeah, you're not going to have any fear for that one. But as an adult, it's like, I get all of it. But at the same time, I knew, I had the feeling, this telepathy, this feeling they were giving me that they meant me no harm. They were safe. They were just watching. They're not going to do anything to harm me. And it's not like words. It's just a feeling I had from them that everything's going to be okay. We don't mean you any harm. But the fear and the shock of just seeing them right there was still overwhelming. And it was like they were trying to prove a point, because when I had this experience a few days earlier, I was like, why can't you just come and hang out with me? Can't you guys just come and hang out? And then they did. They showed up in my bedroom a few days later, hanging out, and it terrified the crap out of me, my human self. Even though I knew and emotionally I was fine, the fear was a very physical human body response I had no control over. I couldn't control the clenching. I couldn't control the hair, my heartbeat. Even though I felt safe, my physical body didn't feel safe. My physical body was in shock. My physical body couldn't believe what I was seeing and had a very physical reaction, despite my knowing and my feelings that no harm is going to come. My body was reacting as if I was in fight or flight, even though I knew logically and emotionally I wasn't in harm. And it just felt like they were trying to show me that I still need time to adjust to them on a human level. I may be there on a frequency level, but I'm not there on a physical level. My vessel still needs time to adjust to them and maybe their frequency or, the shock of what they really look like. So maybe that's why I have these experiences in this dream state or whatever it is. So that physical body doesn't override or something. I have no idea. And it was just one of the most insane things I've ever experienced. It was crazy. And my partner was asleep, and I grabbed his throat in fear, like in response. Not like I was like trying to choke him. I just threw my hand over to grab him, and that's just where my hand was in terms of like where we were on the bed. And then he woke up and they weren't there anymore. And so here's what they look like. This is a drawing again I did just for this. Yeah, so they're wearing these very long, they were very tall too, very tall. This is an accident. I didn't mean to make the mouth go up like that. The mouth doesn't really go up like that. I'm just not the best physically drawing this, especially these guys. It always gets shaky when I'm doing line work. But like their mouth is basically just a very thin line, and their nose is very thin slits. But I try to make it thicker so you could see it on camera. Huge eyes, gray skin, darker gray robes, and very long arms. And I didn't see their hands or anything. Like I mostly just saw like this is the shot of their body that I saw and was freaking out about. I wasn't like scanning them up and down. I was literally like locked and like freaking out about that. And since this particular experience of these guys, I've had a few other experiences as well where I have woken up in the middle of the night and I just see them by my bed. And it's quite interesting. And sometimes it's like a couple of tall ones, sometimes it's a couple of short ones, and sometimes it's tall and shorter ones. Like they had a height difference, not by a lot. Like they were both tall. Like this is not like a 4 foot and like a 6 foot. It's like maybe, a 6 foot and a 7 foot, or 6.5 and 7. I'm really bad at heights. I just know these ones were really tall, and they all kind of look like this. And sometimes they wear hoods, like the healer pictures. Like sometimes they're wearing hoods, sometimes there's no hoods, and I don't know if the hood's in the back or what, but sometimes they wear hoods by the side of my bed, and sometimes they are not wearing hoods. And when they're wearing hoods, their heads are a little bit more shadowed by the hood because the hood comes down about here. But I've had about 3 experiences where I've woken up and seen them by my bed of these guys. These ones in particular, these grays that don't mean me any harm. And they're just kind of, I guess, getting me used to them, I guess. It's the best way. And I don't know if they're gray or not. I think they're gray, but they could be a bluish tone. The problem is that it's in the dark. Like this is like the middle of the night, pitch black. So I don't really know their true colors. Like everything's in a grayscale because I'm like looking at them in the dark, and everything just kind of looks gray. So I'm not 100% if they're like a blue gray or a full gray or what exactly, because it's so dark in my room. But this is just what it looks like. The eyes are the craziest, and they have like this reflection to them, which is always quite interesting. And there's one experience I had literally like a month ago. I think I already drew him in this notebook to show you guys. Just give me a second. Yeah. So this was a terrible drawing, but you get the idea. So one night, like last month, this guy was right up in my face. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and he was like maybe a foot from my face, like leaned over in the bed. The other guys weren't leaned over. They're just standing on the edge of my bed, on like my bedside. That's usually what they do. And this guy was like in my face. And yeah, it was pretty pretty terrifying. And I was staring at him, and he was staring at me. And, you know, the eyes are black. I just didn't have the time to make them black. And this is reflection. And he had these 3 like dots above, and they kind of gave off color of like a little bit of like, one was kind of red, one was kind of blue, one was kind of green. I don't know if they were like eyeballs or sensors or lights or some sort, because they gave off a slight light, and I don't think it was like a light reflection from an eye. I really don't know what it was, but they gave off some sort of light. So curious. And his eye patch was also very curious. Again, slit for a mouth, 2 little like slits for a nose. And I was so fascinated staring at him, because I was literally staring at him, and I was thinking, I was like, is this real? Like, why do you have an eye patch on? And then my brain, because I was so fixated on like, why would an alien have an eye patch? It was so weird to me. And then I was like, wait a minute, why am I looking at an alien? Like it was so funny in my own brain, because I immediately was like, why is he wearing an eye patch? Like, why does he have an eye patch? And what are these? And then I cut myself off, and I was like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean, why does he have an eye patch? Why is there an alien in front of you? And as soon as that thought hit my mind, and then fear started to creep in when I started really being like, oh my gosh, there's an alien in front of me, and I started realizing that fact instead of being fixated on the eyes, and fear started to creep up in my physical body. I mean, emotionally, like he didn't mean me any harm. He wasn't threatening. Again, it was just very peaceful energy, calm, safety from him. But I still had this like human response starting to kick in, where my heart started racing and my body started getting tense, and he just disappeared, just gone, like disappeared. And then I was like rubbing my eyes, and I was really awake, and it was like the middle of the night. And again, he was wearing a robe with like this collar, really long arms, really tall, like the other tall ones, and leaning over. And again, the skin tone was undetermined. I mean, it looks gray, but I don't know, because it's so dark that I mean, I don't know what it could be, unless they have luminous skin that I'm not aware of. You know, it just everything looks a shade of gray. The robe looks gray. His face looks gray, just because everything's dark. And the eyes are so dark. They're like darker than the darker than the grays and everything. And these had the interesting colors on them. So these are the very physical experiences I've had with physical visitations at my bedside. And maybe there's more. That's why I need to do a regression and find out. But so far, like, this is where we're at with my experiences. I have more experiences with UFOs and OBEs, and some physical experiences with UFOs, and some more OBE experiences with UFOs, and more OBE experiences with different ETs as well. So stay tuned if you want to hear more of my experiences. But yeah, this covers right now my physical experiences of them in my bedroom thus far. And yeah, it's crazy. It sounds insane and intense, but the feelings that I feel, I know are real, and the things that I see and I saw in my bedroom those nights are very real and terrifying. And, you know, not something I'm excited about per se. It's not like I'm like, yeah, come visit me at night in my bedroom and, you know, wake me up and see you in my face. Absolutely not. That's not what I want. I don't tell them to do that. Like, I'm always trying to communicate with them. Like, if we can do it not at night, in the middle of the night next to my bed, because it's freaky when you're right there in my face, in my, when I'm supposed to be able to be relaxed, it's not very relaxing. So I'd prefer it to be in the daytime. And, you know, for some reason, they like being there at night, even though it's freaky, really freaky. And I don't necessarily, you know, recommend people trying to have that type of experience, because it's not fun. I don't enjoy waking up and seeing them next to me, even if they mean me no harm. It's still very jarring. It's still scary not like your body's just you're gonna have a human reaction when you see something that's not human. No matter how much you know they don't mean you harm, and they weren't doing any sort of magic or whatever technology to make my body calm. When I just start getting elevated, they just like start disappearing, like they just like phase out or put on cloakers or whatever they're doing to disappear. They just disappear when that happens. They don't try to make me feel more calm, because I know they don't mean me harm, but it doesn't make it any less scary or any better, honestly. And I would prefer if they could just come and knock on my door in the middle of the day, and then we could sit down and have a cup of tea and it not be in the middle of the night in my freaking bedroom. But, you know, I don't know. They have a different protocol, I guess, which can be frustrating. So, again, I'd love to know if you've had any experiences yourself. In the comments below, I'd be super interested. So, thanks for listening.